All right, Next Gen family, welcome back to another wonderful edition of Mentor Moments. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Michael Nevski. Michael is a global marketing executive and a champion of innovation. He is a data and insights expert, and we have the good fortune of having him with us today. Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm very excited to be here today and share my experience and knowledge and learn from your audience and here as well. Thank you.
Of course. Well, we can't wait to dive in, get into some of this conversation about data, about customer 360, all of this fun stuff. But before we do, let's start off with the Next Gen HQ tradition of some rapid fire questions. Just get you sweating a little bit, get the audience getting to know you, and just having some fun. So if you're ready, we'll dive right in. I want to give you a second before I put you on the hot seat.
Deep breath. Okay.
All right. Tell us, what is your favorite book?
I would say Becoming Michelle Obama. And of course, it's all about how you achieve that level with the help of everybody around you, right? So, and also it's a book of all times, which I read quite some time ago when I was in business school, Crossing the Chasm. I highly recommend for everybody to read. It's about early adopters, right, and early majority. It's like a book for if you want to be in business and if you want to conduct your own business or working for somebody. It's a great book on strategy.
Amazing. Two amazing books. I have not read Becoming yet, but I have heard nothing but unbelievable things. And we've gotten a few people who have said that on here thus far. So definitely a theme that I'm pulling out. Next question, a nice easy one for you. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Definitely coffee. Coming originally being brought up in Europe, so Northern Europe, so definitely a coffee drinker.
I love that. Can agree too. Your next question, what is one healthy habit that you have?
I love to run outside twice a week, minimum 5 to 7 miles.
Wow.
And it helps me not only to keep healthy, but also think through lots of problems I'm working on or do some thinking, brainstorming sometimes. So I love being outside and being outdoors. Since I live in the state, which is very, very outdoorsy, so it helps a lot. So.
Yeah, 5 to 7 miles is no joke. You're a real runner. Those are some long distances.
Yeah, thank you.
And your final rapid fire question before we take you off the hot seat, take us through your morning routine. Is there anything you do in particular in the mornings that get you set up for a wonderful day?
Definitely know what you wanted to accomplish. So in the morning, I wake up, take a shower, get my cup of coffee, look at my notes from previous day, knowing what I need to accomplish, follow-ups, and what I want to achieve by end of the day, and plan accordingly. So have a plan in place, definitely. Have a plan in place, and prioritization.
Two key things, have a plan, prioritize. Excellent piece of advice to end our rapid fire and let us transition into the world of data insight. So you made it through the first round. Obviously, the questions might get a little harder from here, but we'll have some fun, Michael. So obviously, I know you're in it. You talk a lot about the importance of data and the importance of having data in a customer-facing organization. So for our audience listening, talk to us about why data is so important and what data should a customer-facing organization be collecting?
Absolutely. That's a very good question. And so depends on type of organization. You need to know what would be the actionable data for your organization, your type of business. But I think, the most common categories would be demographics, knowing whether it's a consumer or B2B customer, knowing titles, their background, at least the basic one, and also understand their journeys. That means understand their touch points they go through, whether it's a prospect or existing customer, decision-making steps, whether it's influenced by word of the mouth, or they've been exposed to your ad, or they've been exposed to your product, right? So those type of data points you need to be able to collect and keep them clean. That's the hygiene. And also knowing how you collect it, how you store it, and how you process it. And again, it's based on the type of organization you have. And why you need that? Because it helps you to make those actionable decisions, whether it's a marketing, sales, service, to really respond to your customer needs and desires, right? That means based on your organization, product, revenue model, service model, you act accordingly. Hopefully I was able to address your question, but that's how I would approach it.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like some important things for people to look out for are this idea of touch points of when is your customer, whether it is a business or an actual consumer, interacting with your brand or product, and how can you influence them along the decision-making steps. But before you influence them, you need to know what are the decision-making steps and what are they actually doing. What is this idea of being able to build insight and ultimately sales growth? How do you take this data that you have, this raw data, and convert it into dollar figures?
That's a very good question, Andrew. And in my work, I always apply 10-step process. I'm going to talk about those 10 steps. Number one, you need to measure the right things. So is it the time spent on site? Is it a satisfaction for NPS or something else, which is important to your business? Customer retention, satisfaction. And in order to do that, the second step is ask the right question to your stakeholders. If you're working with marketing, if you're working with client experience, you're working with digital, you need to understand what your business partners are trying to achieve and how you can support them, right? And after you start asking those questions, you trying to create a segmentation. That means more of a customization, right? You segment your market, you segment your target audience, because different segments might have different needs and desires. And once you start building that together, the next step, use clearer visualization to convey your message, because a lot of time what I've seen market research with data people, they do lots of data dump, right? Or they bring a lot of insights, but it's enormous. And when you deliver that to your business partners, especially executive branch, you're not going to present 160 slides back. You need to really boil it down to 5 to 10 slides max. And how are you going to do that? You use the data visualization. You use the images which represent your insights, and especially actionable insights, right? That's why it's very important. And us as humans, as we know, we are much more prone to look at visual versus just the data in numbers, right? So even graphs sometimes is not the right idea to really represent the data. It's more images. Number 5, to me, is discovering the context of your data set. And what it means, it has 2-step process. Make sure to establish context for the data you're seeing, right? What do those numbers represent? I keep mentioning actionable data, right? If we know that people come from review sites in big numbers, not only knowing that we need to do something about it, but also what's driving people to come to us after they're reading the reviews. Is it something about our particular product, service, pricing, something else? You need to understand those, right? And also you need to understand how it affects your business. Does it really affect the business you're doing, right? And also how data is collected. So that's first step within the discovery process. And second step, data without context isn't that meaningful. and can actually lead to bad business decisions, right? Because interpretation. So you need to really understand and provide that story behind the data, which is actionable and which makes sense, okay? That's step number 5. And after that, once you go through those steps, the next, to me, it's almost like a Six Sigma, build a solid optimization plan. And you probably heard it within a Six Sigma context: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And so within that, you define the problem or hypothesis. You define what the stakeholders need and what's the scope of your analysis. And after that, you measure relevant data, right? And conduct basic analysis to spot anomalies, And after that, you analyze correlations and patterns. You try to look for really tough to understand that data, right? So you put your statistics and visualization skills actually to work in that process. And once you have that, you try to understand those insights and apply the improvement, right? And showing several options to explore those insights, right? How we actually going to use them. And at that point, you can actually apply last step within that Six Sigma process, control the change by deploying A/B testing, right? And monitoring your KPIs, the performance indicators, how they change once you apply A/B testing. That's step number 6. And last steps, you need to construct a great hypothesis. Once you conduct your analysis, you need to integrate data sources, because very often we collect data and store them in different databases, and sometimes they kind of work in silos. They don't communicate interchangeably with the data. They don't syncing, and data hygiene sometimes can be bad because of duplication. So how do you do that? You break down organizational silos, not only with your business partners, so different departments working to avoid different departments working on the same problem, but also within your data organization and IT organization. So everybody's aware of what you're working on and really helping you to build that comprehensive data view. And last but not least, you need to always hire 5 people who can help you to achieve those results. So that's kind of in a nutshell, I approach with those 10-step process to be successful with data collection and analysis and actionable insights.
So much excellent information in there that I feel like I need to go back and watch so that I can pull out. Some of the notes I have here is the importance of turning data into something that people can visualize, and being able to not have that 150 slide deck, but that 15 to 10 slide deck that people can actually understand. And I think one word you used or phrase was actionable data. So not stuff that's nonsense or doesn't actually help make an actual decision on a campaign or product design, but actually having data that you can take action on. So, I mean, those have to be even only 2 steps at most of the process. So making sure that everybody who's watching can go back through and pull out all of those, because I think it's an incredible process. You mentioned something in there, Michael, about towards the end about the importance of bringing people together and having a team that can help you, achieve this goal, and I know you've over the years managed some amazing teams. So I'd love for you to talk to us about what's maybe one lesson you learned along the way while managing teams, while managing people, managing yourself, that you think would be important for anybody that's kind of looking to ultimately lead in the future. What should they know?
Oh, that's a great question. So if we're talking about managing a team, be resourceful for your team. What it means, always look for opportunity to provide resources for your teammates, and especially the team you manage, to be successful, to succeed, whether it's in training, allowing them to play by their strong skill set, preferences, desires, provide any support they need when they're dealing with their business partners. That's number 1. Number two, build very authentic relationship, right? Because at the end of the day, it's people who make it happen. So number three, be transparent with your team. Communication is very important. Don't wait till something happens, right? Always anticipate, always see how you can help them, but also with the clear communication and expectations. And same goes both ways. That's the expectation from your team, that you will get a clear communication, timely communication, right? So, and support. And also be a team player, right? That means it's not a question of, oh, it's not my job, or I am the boss. Always be ready to roll up your sleeves and jump in and help and support. And also, if you ask your team to do something, the expectation as a leader, right, you know how to do it. So you can actually literally get behind the desk and show your teammate how to do this stuff and support them. So those are key points or concepts I learned early on in my career on how to manage the team. So
I love that. It was provide resources, make relationships, be transparent, and be a team player. Excellent, excellent advice for everybody as they look to lead teams. Michael, before we wrap up here, and surprisingly, I don't know how we made it to the end so quickly, but so much in here, you know, to learn and to understand from you. But as you look to the future, and obviously you're speaking to an audience of next generation leaders, what excites you about the next generation and about the future 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years down the line?
That's a very good question, Andrew. Early on in my career, I want to take a step back real quick. I learned one of the most important lessons of my life, I would say, appreciate your journey. So it's easy to get caught up worrying about the future or regretting the past, right? Instead of doing that, focus on appreciating the now, because everything what happened to you before in the past led you to become who you are today, right? So these experiences have shaped me to become a person who I am today. And based on that, appreciating that journey, I think what I appreciate about future leaders, future generations, especially millennials like yourself and Gen Z, that you guys are much more authentic than previous generations. You really focus on meaningful work, and you really, I think, building those meaningful relationships. You're also very compassionate about what you do, and compassionate about people around you in the world, right? You're really advocating for the right causes. You're socially responsible. So to me, it's very, very important and very, very hopeful. And what's the last but not least, what's very important, the future leaders, the younger generations, they're really trying to have fun while they're working. It's very important because older generations, right, they were more about work, and result, while younger leaders have results, they still appreciate the importance of having fun while they're working, because at the end of the life, at the end of the day, you need to have that work-life balance. So those are key aspects, and that's what excites me about the future leaders, because we're all treating our future socially responsible, and it's for generations to come, and there is definitely hope there for all of us.
Michael, you might be a millennial at heart. You're speaking about all the things that resonate: authenticity, meaningful work, fun at work, work-life balance, appreciating the journey. We might have to see that. You might be a millennial at heart. We don't know. Michael, this was truly amazing. Thank you so much for all of these incredible insights. I can't wait to go back, learn more about that 10-step process for turning data into actual insight and revenue. I think everybody's going to eat that up and be able to really get value. So thank you so much for being here with NextGen HQ.
Absolutely. It's an honor, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for asking us some questions, which made me think, and I truly enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll meet again soon.